Alright, y'all, we are back today with the ninth episode of the 3 for 30 series. If you're new to the series, this is an excuse for me to go and give my thoughts on every single NBA team as we head into this lovely offseason, which might be hitting soon as tonight is game 5 of the Lakers and Heat final. Could be the last game of the ever mysterious 2020 season, but all that aside, let's get right into it. Today we are talking about the Charlotte Hornets. So, the Charlotte Hornets finished this past season at a record of 23-42, led by still relatively young head coach James Borrego, who seems to be doing a fine job out there in Charlotte. I say that due to the fact that this Hornets roster, stacked against a lot of the other rosters who finished near the bottom of the league, is really not that talented, or at least filled with established talent. I know a lot of the videos I've already done have covered some teams who have, stars, maybe even some superstars who have been maybe stuck in bad situations or whatnot. But either way, this Hornets team, they definitely overproduced their expectations for the season. And I think a big part of that is due to James Borrego and his ability to coach and rally his team. And we'll be getting into the players who helped this team succeed so often this season as we go out throughout this video. And that brings me straight into point number 1 on my board for today, which is perhaps the most influential player in this such as above expectation season for the Charlotte Hornets, and that is Devonte Graham. Now, since that Charlotte isn't necessarily a main market team, Devonte Graham didn't really get a lot of noise to the mainstream media and casual fans until the end of the season when it was time for awards to be announced. And I say this because a lot of people claimed that Devonte Graham was one of the bigger snubs for these awards, specifically talking about the most improved player. Devonte Graham wasn't even in the top 3 or as a finalist for the award, even though if you do look at his stats, he had a 14 points per game increase, a 5 assists per game increase. He improved both his 3-point field goal percentage and attempts. His 3-point field goal percentage we saw rise from 28 to 37%, and he shot that on 9.3 attempts per game, which places him at 5th in the entire NBA. Now, obviously, he did see his role increase and his minutes per game also increase this season. That very much helped him achieve these statuses, but it's also a testament to his, as the award suggests, his just improvement as a player. For him to jack up as many threes as he did, albeit sometimes inefficiently, to finish the season as a 37% shooter, which is around average, definitely above it, but closer to the average. Still a great season, especially considering, like I said, he's shot 28% from 3 last year, and just for the sole reason, the sole fact that he did almost attempt 10 threes per game, which is at the top of the NBA and is a lot of threes to shoot. High attempts per game is the reason why we don't see guys like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or even Damian Lillard. Those guys don't usually shoot a high percentage from 3, just simply due to the fact that they shoot so many that their percentage sort of evens out and finds a medium. That's also the case here for Devonte Graham. So all in all, it was just a very impressive season, very impressive improvement upon his last season. And again, this snub, especially considering the other 3 choices they had for finalists in this award, Devonte Graham was definitely snubbed. Hopefully he takes as a chip on his shoulder to go on and improve again next year. And then one last point on Devonte Graham, he seems like he has established himself as being a foundational piece for this Hornets roster as they look to the future. The Hornets are in desperate need of finding these types of players. Luckily, it seems like they have found one here in Graham, and to further that point, he is on the last year of his deal this upcoming season, which means that he will be up for an extension, or he could, in fact, bet on himself and look towards restricted free agency if he denies an extension from the Hornets. But with the current salary cap projections, it is looking likely that the Hornets offer somewhere around a 4 years for $50 million deal to Graham, hoping that he accepts. But like I said, he could also choose to not accept the extension and maybe look to get some more money from a different team in the next offseason as a restricted free agent. And while we're on the topic of cap space, I'll slide right into the second point on the board, in that the Hornets are one of the rare teams in the NBA today who actually have available cap space to go after a free agent this offseason. But with that being said, Hornets fans should temper their excitement levels over this because GM Mitch Kupchak has announced that it is unlikely that the Hornets go after any big name free agents this offseason, and I think this is a smart move. The Hornets are by no means in a position where they are one piece away or are in a place where landing a big free agent will even do much for your team. They're still at a very young point in developing players and hoping to find some cornerstone franchise pieces that they can then build upon. But it's never a good idea to leave cap space wasted as the season goes on. So what is likely for the Hornets this offseason is to, or even going into the next season, it is likely that the Hornets will look to either take a salary dump type trade offer, or they might target a younger player through a trade that they can then extend in a future free agency. So I devised up some potential trade ideas that could fit both of these paths for the Hornets. I don't by any means claim to be a GM in the making, so again, these are just hypothetical trades that sort of make sense to me. For both sides, I try to make them as even as possible. There's like a less than 0.01% chance these actually happen, so take that for granted. But again, these are just some ideas of what I have for the Hornets in case they do take either of these routes of taking a salary dump trade offer or they try to strike gold on a young player. So first salary dump trade offer I have is the Sixers try and get out of that horrendous Al Horford contract, and for this I could envision the Sixers getting rid of Al Horford, and they'd most likely have to give up a first-round pick, a future first-round pick, and in return they would probably get either Cody Zeller, who is on a one-year deal that is a significantly less amount than the Al Horford contract has, or they might look for young talent in Malik Monk, because the Sixers do need shooting in their guard position, and Monk could also, although he hasn't necessarily proven it, maybe they could try to get him to run the offense, although again, the shooting at the shooting guard position or just the wing position in general is a big need for the Sixers, so Malik Monk could definitely fit that hole. Salary dump offer number 2 involves the Bucks and them trying to get rid of that Eric Bledsoe salary and extension that they have probably been regretting for the past couple years. In this offer, similar to the Sixers one, I could see the Bucks giving up Bledsoe and a future first-round pick for Malik Monk. Again, Monk could help supply the Bucks with some shooting and some athleticism at the guard position. They already have guys like Dante DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton, but Malik Monk is a bit more of a talented player that could fill that same role, and he's already, I don't want to say more polished, but like I said, he has a bit more raw talent than the other guys I mentioned, Connaughton and DiVincenzo. And then the last salary dump trade offer involves the Kings, who in recent reports, apparently Buddy Hield is not happy in his situation, which we have known for a while, but apparently that escalated to him not returning head coach Luke Walton's phone calls or messages, so it's seeming very likely that Hield's on the move. So in this case, I decided that the Kings might try and give him up to the Hornets in exchange for Malik Monk, who again could fill that Buddy Hield role on a much less, on a contract that's a lot less in the amount, and definitely wouldn't fill in the talent gap that Hield leaves, but he could help fill it, and then the Kings could figure out the rest from there. Alright, so as for the trades where the Hornets might go out and try to acquire a younger talent who could potentially fill out to be a franchise cornerstone, these were a bit more difficult to find, so I kind of just targeted the Knicks because they have a lot of young talent right now, and they will definitely look to make some sort of a move involving a few of these guys to try and go out and get a better scorer or just a better, more polished player in general. So the only real offer I came up with in this situation was the Knicks try and go get Terry Rozier, who they reportedly had interest in this past offseason. They wanted to, at least they were in talks with Rozier, probably threw him an offer, but eventually he was involved with the sign-and trade to get Kemba Walker to Boston. So in this trade offer, I have the Knicks finally getting that free agent point guard they wanted in exchange for just a couple of their younger guys. For this example, I used Dennis Smith Jr. and Kevin Knox, but other names like Frank Ntilikina or Bobby Portis, if he signs into his player option for next year, I could see any of those guys potentially being on the move. Knicks would probably also throw in like a second round pick or something. But to get to the point, pretty much Knicks have a lot of young talent they could offer, and the Hornets could deal Rozier, knowing that they have Devontae Graham, who could easily just slide into that point guard role, because those two were kind of jarring each other for minutes over this past season, and Graham just simply looks like he's having a bit more potential right now, so the Hornets could go down this alleyway. And then that brings me to my closing point, which is Mitch Kupchak equals the key to the Hornets' success for the next couple of years. Now, the Hornets do hold the third pick in this upcoming NBA draft. As of now, Kupchak has not really made any notions of who he plans on drafting there. Instead, he has come out and said that the Hornets have no positional needs, and because of that, they will be drafting the best available prospect on the board. Now, we as the media really are still unsure of who is going to go where, so we might potentially be seeing James Wiseman, a LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, literally anyone in the current top 10 of the draft could potentially become a Charlotte Hornet in a couple of months. Now, why Hornets fans should be excited for this is the fact that Mitch Kupchak has a very, very good history of drafting within the top 10. For those of you who are unaware, Kupchak served as the GM of the Los Angeles Lakers from the year 2000 to the year 2017, and he definitely enjoyed plenty of success over those years, bringing in 5 championships, or I should say being a part of 5 championships for the organization over that time period. So you might be asking, why should Hornets fans then be excited? Because they by no means have a championship roster ready to bring rings to the city of Charlotte, but like I said, the list of draft selections that Kupchak has under his belt is very impressive. If we look at his top 10 picks that he made while with the Lakers, you will find guys like Andrew Bynum, who he picked at 10th and ended up being a all-star for a few seasons until he suffered injuries, which maybe you could say that is Kupchak's fault, that maybe he was an injury-prone player and he didn't notice it, but again, got an all-star level talent out of that. And then we move on to Julius Randle, who we picked 7th, and he has been a quality starter in the league for a few years now, and he still has, I think he still has room in his ceiling to improve even more. He can maybe even hit an all-star level type player. We see D'Angelo Russell was picked 2nd by Kupchak, and like Randle, Russell has been a great starting talent for the past couple of seasons. He's on the brink of being an all-star. And then we also saw Kupchak pick Brandon Ingram at the 2nd overall pick, who has ended up to be an all-star. He was the most improved player this season. He'll call back to the Devontae Graham scenario. Either way, all these guys were top 10 selections for Kupchak. He hit on pretty much all of these. The only one you could maybe argue is the Julius Randle one. Maybe he didn't pan out to be as great as he should have been. But if you're a Hornets fan, you should feel safe knowing that Kupchak will at least get you a not a bust, is what I'm trying to say. He will make sure that you get a good selection, someone that can hopefully be another cornerstone piece for this Hornets team, and hope that they can build upon this for the future. And with that, that is my 3 takes for the Charlotte Hornets as we head into this off-season. As always, drop a comment down below on what you think I got right, what do you think I got wrong. Other than that, check the description for my social medias, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and most importantly, thank you for watching. If you're still here, if you're still paying attention, you still got the earbuds in, let me know who you think is taking it tonight. If you're watching this after Game 5 happens, let me know who you won and why it was the Lakers.